Now, Lamed Beis, Amud Beis, 6 lines from the top. We learned previously in the Brisa that Rebbe said, how do we know that there's Chomish Tfilos V'Asara Kiddushin, that the Kohen Gadol is Toivel and Mekadosh B'Bayayim? Because the Pasuk says, Kasenis Bad Kodesh Yilbash, Umechtasei Vad Yual B'Sara, V'Nalvei Bad Yachgar, V'Mistavis Bad Yitzayv, Big Day Kodesh Hem, V'Rochas B'Mayim Es B'Sara Levesham. So you learn out that you're Mishana from Avodah Avodah, you're Mishana that you need Tefillah. And it says, Big Day Kaidishim, Hukshu Kol B'Gadim Kulam Zerlaseh. So now the Gemara is going to analyze this limud of Rebbe. Omar Rebbe Minayin L'Chamish Tfilos V'Asar Kiddushin Shetoiv L'Kain Gadol Mekadosh B'Bayayim Tamad Laim K'Sayis Bad Kaidish Yilbash Halamanata Shekol Mishana Me'Avodah L'Avodah Sheton Tefillah. When you change your clothing, when you change from one type of avodah to another, that you require tefillah. Well, we find that in this context that there was a change from the gold clothing, from the Shmeini Begadim that he wears the whole year, to the Big Day Lavan and Yom Kippur. There we saw that there is a tefillah. However, in Big Day Lavan, the Big Day Zohav Minayin, how do we know that the other way around, from Lavan to Zav, also it's required? Where do we learn that out? So Tana the Beir of Yishmael, they learned the Kal V'Chaymer. It's from the Kal V'Chaymer. Ma Big Day Lavan, She'en Kaparas Maruba. The Big Day Lavan are only begadim that are used for Yom Kippur. It's not Kaparas Maruba. There is not a large amount, a varied amount of avodah that's done with them. So it's Tuna Tefillah, Big Day Zahav, or Big Day Zahav, Shekaparas Maruba. That's the begadim that the kapara is done throughout the whole year. It's Kaparas Maruba. Eina Din Shitaunin Tefillah Kal V'Chaymer. Certainly they should require a Tefillah. So no, you can ask a question on that. It's true, it's not that common, but it's special, it's significant that only with the Big Day Lovin can you go lifnai or lifnim in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So that's special. So when you're changing into the Big Day Lovin, which has this Mila, which is so special, yes, you need tefillah. How do you know that if you're changing from the Big Day Lovin to the Big Day Zov, that you similarly need the tefillah? Where it says Hainu Tekatani, that's what it says. It's then the Brisa, Rebbe's Limud, the Omer, and it says Big Day Kodesh Hem, Rochaz, B'Mayim Spesor Elevation. That's why it says that they're Big Day Kodesh. It's Big Day Kodesh Hem, the Rochaz B'Sar Elevation. That's why it stresses a Big Day Kodesh to teach you Hukshu Kol Begadim Kul Mazul Zalazeh, that they're all compared to each other, and therefore tefillah is required both from Zahav to Lavan and Lavan to Zahav. So now we continue with the Seder of the Avodas that the Brisa mentions, and the change of the Begadim, and the Tefillas and Kiddushim that are required for each one. So this is the order of the day. So V'chamish Avodas, there are 5 segments of Avodas, 5 different halakim. So the first segment is Tomid Shel Shachar, the Big Day Zav. The Tomid Shel Shachar and the avodas that are done regularly in the morning. So that is done the Big Day Zav. Then he switches from the Big Day Zav, the 8 articles of clothing that are normally used. Then when the Kohen Gadol switches from that to the special avodas of Yom Kippur, avodas Hayom, the Big Day Lavan. Then when he does the avodas of Yom Kippur, the para and sora that's nasa b'fnim, the burning of the Keteris, that's the Big Day Lavan. So it's switched to Big Day Lavan, and there is a tefillah and kiddush between them. Eila ve'ela am, the Big Day Zav. The ayel, the eila ve'ela am, that's the Big Day Zav, that's switched now to the Big Day Zav. Then kaf u'macht, the Big Day Lavan. The haitzah, the removal of the kaf u'macht, the kaf and machta that were in the Kodesh Kadosh, where the Keteris are burning, he switches into the Big Day Lavan to go inside to remove them. That's the Big Day Lavan. Then he's Talmid Shel Ben Arbaim, Big Day Zav. Then he switches into the Big Day Zav to conclude the avodah of the day with the Talmid Shel Ben Arbaim. Uminayin shkol tefillah tzricha shnei kiddushim. How do I know that every tefillah requires 2 kiddushim? He has to be mekadosh hands and feet from the kir. He has to be mekadosh twice. How do I know that? Because the pasuk says Talmud Lemru Fasha V'Rachatz V'Rachatz V'Lavash. Because the pasuk says that he is a Pashat V'Rachatz, he removes his clothing, V'Rachatz he washes, V'Rachatz V'Lavash. So it says the rachatz between the removal of the clothing and the putting on of the clothing. It's as if it says it twice after the removal of the clothing and before putting on the new clothing. There is a kiddush twice over there. Frank the Gemara, but hi, but tefillah. This pasuk is written regarding tefillah. It's not written regarding kiddush. So how can you apply it to kiddush if it's written by tefillah? The Gemara answers, but I don't need it for tefillah. Because the nafkalemi big day kodesh, because we learn out big day kodesh that every switching of the clothing requires a tefillah. So therefore, tefillah teneu kiddush, apply it to kiddush. Well, if it's applying to kiddush, why doesn't it say clearly that it's for kiddush? Why does it say it in the lashon of tefillah, which means his whole body is tefillah? Gemara answers, he wants to teach us that tefillah is like kiddush. Ma kiddush b'makom kodesh, just like the kiddush has to be makom kodesh. He washes his hands and feet from the waters of the kir, which is the makom kodesh, and the azara of tefillah b'makom kodesh. The tefillahs of Yom Kippur, of the chiyuv of the kohen gadol from the switching of the clothing, are b'makom kodesh. Rabbi Yehuda, but what about Rabbi Yehuda? Now, Rabbi Yehuda, he says, the Pasha V'Rachatz, he requires that pasuk to teach me that when he changes from the Big Day Lovan to Big Day Zahav, that he needs a tefillah, because he doesn't darshan Big Day Kayeshim. So therefore, it's not extra. So therefore, according to him, where does he learn Kiddush? So Rabbi Yehuda, Kiddush min olam. Where does he learn the din of Kiddush? The more answers, Nafkalem, Rabbi Elazar of Shimon. He learns it out from the same limit of Rabbi Elazar of Shimon and a Kal V'Chaimer, and from the pasuk that says Asher Lavash, that a person can only remove something which is lavash, which he puts on. So why does the Torah say that Asher Lavash? What's the purpose of saying Ma Talmud Loimer Asher Lavash? Why Klum Adam Paishet Ela Masha Lavash? So why does it say that he removes the clothing Asher Lavash? To make a hekesh pshita l'levisha. That ma levisha ton kiddush, pshita ton kiddush. So therefore you learn out kiddush from both. Amar Rav Chisda said, hi the Rebbe, the limud of Rebbe is mafka mid Rav Meir and mafka Rabbanan. It differs from both Rav Meir and Rabbanan. Mafka mid Rabbanan, it differs from the Rabbanan. Dil Rabbanan Amrei Kishu Lovash Mekadesh, because the Rabbanan say that he Mekadesh himself when he's dressed. He says that he's Mekadesh himself before he does a kiddush, before removal of the old clothing, and after wearing the new clothing. But he does a kiddush both times when he's dressed. V'yu Amar Kishu Paishet Mekadesh, and Rabbi says that he does both kiddush when he is not dressed. When he removes the old clothing, he does one kiddush, and before he puts on the new clothing, that's when he does a second kiddush. Umafkim it Ramer, and it's different than Ramer. Dil Ramer Amar Ha Kiddush Basra Kishulosh Mekadesh. Ramer says that the second kiddush is when he is dressed. The first kiddush is when he is before he dresses, but the second kiddush is afterwards. But neither the Ramer or the Rabbanan say that both kiddushim are when he's undressed, and Rebbe says they both are. V'yu Amar Kishu Paishen Mekadesh, and Rebbe said that both kiddushim are when he's undressed. Amar Ravach Bar Yaakov, the Ravach Bar Yaakov says no, he learns Rebbe differently. He learns it differently. He says, Akol Maidim Kiddushin. Even Rebbe agrees that the second Kiddush Shalevesh Ba'achar Kach Mekadesh. He puts on the new set of clothing and then he does a Kiddush. Even Rebbe agrees to that. My Taima Damar Kro Oivegishtam Al Mizbeach. It says regarding the chiyuv of the kohen to wash, it says Oivegishtam Al Mizbeach, when he comes close to the Mizbeach. So he has to wash when he comes to the Mizbeach. It says in the pasuk B'voyim El Oil Moed Yerchatzu Mayim V'lo Yamusu Oivegishtam El Mizbeach L'Shoras L'Akter Shel Hashem. So the washing has to be done when he comes to the Mizbeach. So when he approaches the Mizbeach, then he's dressed. So therefore, Misheno Mechusar Elagisha, when he washes, what's missing? Begishta al Mizbeach, coming close to the Mizbeach, all that's missing. But if he's not dressed, then he would be missing also not only gishta, not only coming close to the mizbeach, but also dressing. So therefore, he says that even Rebbe would agree that the second kiddush is when he's dressed. Amalei Ravacha Breda Ravel Ravashi Loi Rav Chisda Slay the Ravacha Rav Chisda, who said that according to Rebbe that he does 2 kiddushim when he's undressed, then he cannot agree to Ravacha. He cannot agree to Ravacha, who said that he has to have a kiddush when he is dressed, then Begishtoi, that he has to have a kiddush when he's already dressed. The way Ravacha is like Rav Chisda, and Ravacha, who says that he has a kiddush when he's dressed, cannot agree to Rav Chisda, who says there were 2 kiddushim when he's undressed. Because you might have said that they agree, and they agree to both their interpretations, but it can't be because the kiddushin. Because if they agreed with each other, then there would be a total of 3 for each change of clothing, and then there would be a total of not 10. There would be a total of 5 times 3 is 15, and we know that that there are only 10, so they are mutually exclusive. Then the Mishnah says, "Havilu as a Talmid Krotza." So they brought the Talmid to the Kohen Gadol, and it says Krotza. My Krotza, what does that mean? Amar Ula Lishon of K'talu. It's a lotion of killing. I mean, they brought him to Shechter, but it used a lotion of killing. Amar of Nachbar Yitzchak, my Kro. What do we see in the pasuk? That that's what this word means, because the pasuk says, "Egla Yefefia Mitzrayim Keretz Mitzafan Bava." It says Mitzrayim is like an Egla Yefefia, a very beautiful Egla. A beautiful heifer. And it says, Keretz mitzafan bava, that the carrots is coming from the north. My mashma, what do we see from this? How do we see this meaning from here? Metargim Rav Yosef, like he's Metargim Malka Yoav Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was a beautiful kingdom. Amamin Ketaylim Mitzipuna Yason Allah. And people killers from the north are going to come upon him. So that is when it says carrots, the killing mitzafan bava. Krotza bekama, so it says that he does a shlit. How much of it does he do the shlit? How much does he shech? Amar ula b'roshnaim. Shlit is with the 2 simonim, the trachea and the esophagus, the windpipe and the food pipe, and you have to shech both. He does roiv of shnaim. He does the roiv, the majority of both of these simonim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan b'roiv shnaim. And he also says b'roiv shnaim, as we'll see in the Gemara further, that Reish Lakish also holds that way.